All right, Ken, this last area has to do with overhead and kick stepping. I have a lot of players that they're really good enough to be able to kick step, but they just don't have that step. How do you teach a player to either fix or add a kick step overhead in their game?
Well, much like you said before, George, a lot of them are trying to do it in the middle of actually making the shot. You can kind of break it out so they can feel it by doing a self-toss. The best way is giving them something they can relate to. So if I started in front of the service line like this with my right foot and my side of the net, if I toss the ball up, as I hit it, step back and land on my left foot, I can automatically get a kick. So I'm on this foot, turn and jump and land. Let them do it a few times without the ball, just so they can feel landing on this leg, push up, come back down on the left leg. As they cross the line, they can feel what it's like to make the kick like that.
Okay, cool.
Then
so
from there, I could do
one.
a little more self-feed to do it.
Sure. Now, you showed me a progression once where they take a couple steps and then do the same thing. So now you get a little closer to what a real overhead is going to be like.
So the progression would kind of like with no ball first, just position, step back and hit. Okay, then you go self-toss, okay, jump back and hit. The next one would be to move back. And most of the players have a tendency to back up to hit, of course. It's hard to do a jump if you're facing backwards on the shot. Shuffling works pretty good, but actually the best way is if you get the player to turn and walk back, as they walk back and land on their right foot, when they turn, there's a natural body rotation, they get more power, and it's the correct way to move back. Because most players, when they run back for the ball, it's actually run, because it says run back for the ball. You run with your eyes here, which turns your shoulders. Sure. Shuffling is the second fastest way to move back, also the second slowest way to move back.
Right.
It's more of an adjusting step once you've gotten in position than a way of actually moving back for the overhead.
Yeah, I think the best thing that I like about what you said there is a lot of players, I think, are trying to learn the kick step in the midst of their normal overhead. And by having those progressions, just kind of no ball and then a real ball and then add some steps to it, you're kind of easing them along so they get to feel what it's like. And then that's not that far off from a real overhead. But
George, why don't you feed me one so we can do it in live action?
Yeah, let's show this.
So I'm set up in position. I move back for the ball to hit and jump, and one more time, and I'll come in.
I'm going to push it back a little bit.
I move back for the shot, and when I hit, I'm here, landing back on the left leg. And because I land on this leg, when I finish, I'm able to push back into the shot.
Sure.
So I go back for the overhead to hit. On this leg, and I set up where I can close back into volley again.
Cool. Let's add a volley to that.
You got it. Okay, here we go.
Okay, so there's a
jump
kick
overhead.
step. Push you way back, closes back in. There's the volley. Good deal. All right, so I think the point is just you got to have some steps. And again, it's like the previous tip. You have to have your repetitions. I mean, a lot of players struggle with this, but if you kind of walk them through it, the better you are, the more likely you're going to need this shot because you're going to be covering some pretty tough lobs. So hopefully that'll help you with kick step on your overhead.